Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's that time. Well, it's sort of that time. Sorry. I just came back from a bit of a vacation, which was really, really nice. And bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as my grandfather used to say, is how I am feeling right now. Bushy-haired. But, okay, so I'm coming in to do this reading. This is a public service announcement. I neglected to release this original message, the video. I deleted it. I should have known better. Anyways, Spirit's patient with me. So, I received a message from this card specifically. I've received a message from this card once before, a few years ago, about floods and mudslides. And it was very accurate at the time. There was sort of, you had to, I guess to some degree, read between the lines and understand the meaning. Right? Like I kept seeing Venice, which didn't make, no, I kept hearing Venice, which didn't make sense to me because this did not look like the area. It didn't look like Venice. It didn't look like a place that was flooded. But anyways, it ended up being Recife, Brazil, which is known as the Venice of South America. And just a few days later, they did have exactly that. But so anyways, there's only been one other time where and you're going to get this message in a minute, where I didn't release a message. And I felt so uncomfortable about the message, because it had to do with kids and the safety of kids, and it felt like children were in grave sort of danger. I know, right? Like, well, why wouldn't you release the message, Cindy? Because at the time, and maybe it sounds crazy, but I was thinking to myself, am I making messages and I make them happen? Like there's some sort of power of, like I didn't know. I don't see myself as all that powerful. That powerful. I've learned since then that I don't do that. But I was real, and I was like, I do not want to participate in something like that. Anyways, it was a very detailed message about children being abroad, which was weird to me. It looked like a school trip, but in the summer, right? It was like a school trip in the summer. And there was water. There was water, and it was bad, and you needed to get the kids out of there. I saw kids with passports, and like I knew they were not in their country. Anyways, I didn't release it. And I learned my lesson, because it was what is that the scouts go on, Boy Scouts go, I don't know if they do it every year. They go to a different country, and kids from all over the world go to one spot. And a huge monsoon came through. It was just a disaster, the air. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't like put it out there and cause it to happen. So I know it sounds stupid, but hey, anyways, I don't know why. I didn't release the message that I'm going to be conveying to you. Well, I do partly know. Well, these are not always good news messages, to be honest, the public service announcements. And I am going to put a declaration out there that I feel like there will be public service announcements. They may not have if you may not feel good about them. I can't change that. I can't change the truth so that you feel comfortable. And now that we're spirits, right? So, if you think that there's something here that might make you feel uncomfortable, you don't want to hear it, yeah, you have that choice. Absolutely have that choice to click off. But, okay, so I started getting a message at this card. I just, like, sometimes I just look at a card and all of a sudden I click in and it's like I'm downloading. And that's what started happening with this card. And the message has not, well, I got a confirmation. Yeah, something actually happened about, how long ago did I do it? It was during a Virgo reading. Know that. I can't remember if it was their extended or what it was, but I ended up editing their reading so that it didn't have this PSA in the middle of it, and then did the message and then kept the PSA on the side, and then decided not to release it. I don't know. I second guess myself all the time. But, and I don't know, to some degree, I feel like I guess that's good, because I do try to be discerning. And I just did not feel comfortable about the message. I still don't feel comfortable about the message. In terms of in terms of what, it's telling the truth, and it's an uncomfortable truth, that there's going to be water being removed from certain areas here. There's going to be water being removed. Like in the last time this card came forward to me, it was like the water was rising up in this image. The water has been lowering. In this image, he was basically reaching and reaching and reaching and reaching and reaching for the water to the point where there was nothing left in the stream. This is going to cause certain areas That's the interesting. So it's some areas end up with no water and other areas end up with no water and other areas end up with more water. There is going to be an organized, not an attempt. It's not an it's an organized shift in where water is flowing. And okay, I also saw like houses losing their value in this. Now, that's not really something that has ever come through in a message, like some sort of value being lost here. I mean, there's obviously been destruction with mudslides, and I saw houses going into mudslides a few years ago with Brazil. This, because it feels like there's some sort of a shift here, like water has some sort of control over, if you think about it, like, it's kind of funny, like, because I just came from an area where there's a big lake there, right? And just like in context of that, right? Like the houses that are on, houses or cottages that are on that lake are like worth twice as much, if not more, than the ones that are not or do not have lake access. So it's like something like that that plays out here, where there's people whose homes had a value based on, or a particular value based on the water use, the water that they had accessible to them. Now, the water gets moved to where people want it. Do you see? Okay, that was the other thing. I was looking at the card because I know. Do you see this stream? There's a stream coming in here and it's drying up. There's more, like, it. I feel like this is going to happen in many places. This is going to happen in many places. Now, there's also going to be situations where other places become flooded. This is not natural. So I think that's the other thing that I find, uncomfortable about this conversation, is that this is not a natural divergence of water. The other times, things like that, that is interesting. This is intentional, and I'm hearing the word criminal. So, okay, it is intentional and it is criminal. As opposed to, like, pretty much all of my other PSAs are often involving, like, some sort of natural disaster that was, like, something that we could not control, or it's just somebody being, like with the scouts, people just not being responsible, and I don't mean the people, the place where it was being hosted. They were very irresponsible. They did not, anyways, they were poorly planned. This isn't that. This is 100% intentional movement, divergent of water. Yeah, the water is not coming back to some of these places. Oh, yeah. Okay, the other, sorry, as I just look at, I'm not looking at the cameras. I'm looking at the card, because the card is where I sort of start to lock in and download, and it's almost like it's bringing things back to me here. Spirit really wanted me to deliver this. This is not, I had no intention of doing this when I came down here. I'm going to do a collective, and then I'm going to get into the zodiac. And then I sat down and I started writing out, it's a new little spread for the collective. And this started coming in like so heavy in my mind's eye. And it was like, Cindy, we're waiting for you to do this message. Okay, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it out there. People will end up moving out of these homes. When I say like that the water is diverted, we see water above ground, right? But there's also underground water. That gets moved too. I don't know how that's done. I'm just telling you the message. The underground water is removed. So wells go dry. There could be towns here. I'm seeing like actual towns where there is no more water. There's no more water. And there are areas that were lacking water that have water again. So that's going to give you a real clue where your water went, or where the water went from one area to another. These places could be very far apart as well. The areas that will be receiving the water are not areas of struggle. These are people who have a lot of money, these people who have a lot of status, and these people have a lot of wealth. They're taking the water. I'm just telling y'all right now, they're taking the water. Okay, I'm hearing 2 to 3, so this is something that could play out over a 2 to 3 year period. Like, this isn't like you wake up and then the water is gone. Or whoever, wherever this is, they don't wake up and the water's just gone. It's like reaching, right? Like, I just saw him, he's reaching, and the next day, like, you know, typically he hangs here and he can, you know, maybe he does this little meditation here and the water is up to his elbows. And then, you know, now it's below his elbows. And then, you know, but it's happening, it's sort of like, it is happening gradually here. So that there isn't necessarily any sudden like, whoa, what is where's the water going? This doesn't make any sense. It's no, I'm like 2 to 3 years, but it is enough that at some point someone goes, okay, now wait a second. Yeah, the water's going down. Things are being exposed, but not the things that you want, that you think should be exposed. When I say things are being exposed, like things that don't need, it's like, things that don't need to be exposed. I think there's also a secondary meaning here. Things that do not need to be exposed are being exposed in this stream. Things that definitely should be exposed are being covered up by the water. There's a double meaning in this. The first part of the message is 100%. Water is going to be diverted. It's going to, basically, I'm like saying, it's going to be used for the rich. Maybe those are rich corporations. Maybe these are rich individuals, but they are going to get water. They're not going to go without. But that's sort of like one of my metaphorical messages here. Like, as the water recedes, there's things that get exposed that are like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, like somebody maybe they find an old toy that got lost along the shoreline decades ago. Oh, that's nice. But I mean, like, it's not, you know, but then further down the way where the water is increasing and rising, it's like there's things there that should be, like, right? Like, it's not to say that this isn't a curiosity. So these are curious things here that are curious things. Now I know why Spirit is bringing me. I don't ever feel like either that I don't do anything in the timing that Spirit doesn't want it to happen. So there's more to this message. So there are things that are being exposed that are sort of like curiosities and interesting, but they're really not very relevant, or they don't have any greater, like, if these things are exposed, they don't really change the course of history. They don't really change bigger systems, where the water is going to cover things that should be exposed. Just a second. I'm being brought back, way back in time. I'm being brought back to what I would call probably the very, very first PSA announcement I ever did on my channel, which is probably 5 years ago, before I even classified them as that. It was the Libra reading. I'm seeing the blank document. I'll link that in the description. There's something relevant in that reading. I can't even remember all the details of that reading. But there was some sort of injustice. I remember there was an injustice that had been done, and it felt like justice would never prevail. And then I remember seeing at the time, like, this has got, like, when did I start? Yeah, it must be, it's 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe it's 6. It's when I shortly started this channel. God, is it even around this time of the year? But anyways, in that reading, there was a very important document in that reading, in that Libra reading. And it got put in a cabinet. It sort of got filed in the wrong spot. And that document was like everything to whatever this, to bringing justice to a situation was. This was horrible. This is still playing out. This is still playing out from 6 years ago when I did this. Larry, come and say hi. Then it was like somebody came into the situation and was sorting through files or whatever, and somebody accidentally found this. And it ended up, oh man, you're wet. Jeez Louise. You're proud of it too, aren't you? Yeah, I'm proud of it, baby. The document got found, right? And it was interesting because at the time, there was a lot going on even here in Canada, shortly after that, with the, what the heck are they called? Residential schools. You know, people were kind of connecting the reading with that. I'm not saying it wasn't that. I'm saying this is still playing out. Mwah. You have breakfast? Yeah. Where do we go for, okay, it took me off to go to that. I'm going to link that in the description. A lot of you have probably already seen that reading. So I don't know, there might be some details in it because I'm not remembering everything. It was a long time ago. But I'm being brought back in time, like I'm seeing myself in the room. Like I'm seeing it from the perspective, like usually when I remember that reading, I just kind of remember the thumbnail of me holding up the Black Panther card. The Black Panther card, the Black Panther card. So good is working in the background here. Good that was once evil. No, good that became evil, that redeemed itself to good. That's my Black Panther. That is one of the most powerful angelic energies that can get anyone out of any dark situation, because it used to be the right-hand man of the devil, and it redeemed itself, and it knows how the devil works. So it is like, it's kind of like God's powerhouse, God's strong man. Anyways, usually when I think back to that, I see that. So I'm sort of like being brought back in time. I see myself in the room. I'm seeing it from the perspective of me giving the reading as opposed to watching it on the camera. So there's things being buried, but they're being put underwater. So that's very interesting to note, because when something is put underwater, well, depending on what it is, right? I guess if it's underwater long enough, it will decompose. But it's not something that's being burned. It's not something that's being shredded. It's not something that is being blown up. It's being put underwater. And it could also be something that is used to elicit emotions. Like, okay, I talked about there's things here that are going to be exposed that have no relevance to anything. They're just fascinating. They draw attention. They're like, oh my God, that's my old little toy from, you know, right? Like, you're going to go in and you're going to reach for it because, like, also nostalgia. So there could be nostalgia connected. There's nostalgia and feelings, but it's almost like the loss. You're losing something, but it is replaced by something that brings you back to a happier place. So think about that too. As something's being taken away, it's being replaced for you by something that will conjure up nostalgia and past feelings. Like it's a distraction, right? I mean, like it is. Yeah, it is a distraction. But there are two messages here. It's not just a metaphor. And that was proven to me a couple of weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. Okay, so that's I'm just going to take a second here and double check. Okay, so I paused it just for a second just to sit and stare at the card. I keep hearing follow the water. Follow the water and open the gate. Follow the water and open the gate. Shit. I'm seeing that. I'm getting a confirmation. I'm looking at the W on the, Witch's Oracle deck. The water. Follow the water and open the gate. This is tricky. I mean, whatever this is really designed to cause you to look at it. To bring things back that you thought were lost. But, right? Like, they literally happen at the same time as something is being taken away. Something very important and very precious and is a sustainer of life and also adds value. Adds value. Like, water is the most precious resource. It's oxygen. Actually, I'm going to say, yeah, oxygen. Without it, you just have seconds. Maybe you got a couple minutes if you're good. Good luck. You know, you go a couple days without water. So oxygen, let's say, is the most valuable resource and the things that create that oxygen. Water being the next. And right, like, it's very interesting how this is being shown to me, because as what is very essential to you is being siphoned away, at the same time something is being shown or exposed to you that causes you to go to it. Like, and it's very hard not to. It's almost impossible. Don't get caught up in nostalgia. You know, if you want to try to not be distracted by something that's going on, is don't get caught up in nostalgia. Don't get distracted. That's what I have so far. So I'm just going to leave it there. So I did it. I know Spirit still wanted me to do that message. That's what I have for y'all. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Until next time, be gentle with yourselves. Bye.